with Carolyn. We are here with our second class of the new year, and we're continue to celebrate the Chinese New Year. Tonight we will be making a dish that is ginger citrus salmon that is going with roasted sesame broccoli and scallion rice. So this dish is very easy, super simple, but still very healthy and delicious. So you'll be adding it to your weekly plan, I hope so, your weekly meal plan that you make at home. So I know we have a couple new members on our call tonight. So thank you for joining us for our cooking class. And for those that continue to love our class, we thank you for coming back every time. So again, we have Carol Griffin behind the camera. She is the Assistant Food and Beverage Director. And then we have our circle of trust here. We have Donna and her husband Paul here with us with our cooking, and they help with the questions too. So we're going to get started here. And if you have a meal kit, perfect. And if you don't, you might have went out and got your own meal kit if you're away. So let's go over our ingredients. But first, actually, you're right, Carol. Thank you for pointing that out, because sometimes I miss it. We're going to preheat the oven. I have my oven right now at about 410. My oven runs a little hot, so I put it at 410, and I know we do a lot of talking, and the recipe says 425. But if you are following along, you might want to back it down a little bit, because there's a lot of banter that goes on between the two of us. So put it at anywhere between 410 and 425 to have it ready for your broccoli. But in the meantime, we're going to go over our ingredients. So I have my ingredients plate here. The first thing that I have is our Bay of Fundy salmon. It's 2 portions that come in your kit, skin on. And they range from 5 to 6 ounces a piece. You have 2 of those in your kit. Also with that in your kit, you have a lime. You have a half an onion, a thumb of ginger, which is more than what you need, but it gives you a nice extra piece for next time. I also have the 3 scallions, little tray of sesame oil. About mine is over a tablespoon, and yours is as well, of sesame seeds, which is okay because we're going to toast those off, and you can save some as much or as little as you want for your garnish. Our seafood stock, our concentrated stock, your half a cup of rice, and last, your broccoli. So what we have, and other things that what I have on my tray, which you'll need from your own kitchen, are some butter. Optional. If you don't want to use it, it is perfectly okay. You don't have to finish your rice with it, but it, as most French chefs say, I do love my butter. So I have that on there. Of course, my salt and pepper. I'm going to put it over here. And then I have a little bit of sugar to finish my sauce. So I'm going to put that over here on the stove. And that should be everything that comes with your tray. I do have my water already measured out for my rice, but we can talk about that a little bit later. Some utensils that you will need from your own kitchen or hardware are a nice pot with a lid, a tight forming lid for rice. Very important for rice. I have a nice heavy bottom saute pan for searing my salmon. And then I have, which my mise en place tray is on, my baking sheet, a zester. This is called a microplane or a zester. If you don't have one of these, I would highly suggest going to get one. They have My Kitchen and Company, or you can get them on Amazon. They're relatively inexpensive, but you'll notice that a lot of the recipes that you do with me or with other places, they'll use one of these. And if you don't have this, You can take, if you have like a zester or a grater, sometimes they have the fine side to the grater, you can use that. So now that we talked about all of our ingredients, we are going to go into, sorry, I'm just gonna make myself a little bit of room. We are gonna go into our knife skills here. First, I wanna ask, does everybody have all the ingredients? Because when I made my kit, I forgot the onion. So thank God I had the onion here at home. So that's what I thought when I was doing this. I was like, I should ask, but good. So we're gonna start with our knife skills first and foremost. I have my chef knife here. If you have a chef knife, one thing I suggest is if you have a hone or a steel, is that before you start any of your cooking, is that you just put a quick blade on that. So this isn't gonna sharpen your knife, but what this is gonna do is just put your knife back to normal.
Can you do that a little bit slower just so I can kind of get
Of
close
course,
in?
Carol.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna do this at about a 26-degree angle. I know that's very specific, but I'm just gonna go back and forth on each side, keeping my thumb tucked. But what this does, it just pushes my blade from like, so say my blade is like this because it's crooked because I've been cutting, for me, probably salmon or brisket all day. I'm gonna push it this way so it's standing straight up. And it doesn't sharpen it, it just gives you a nice edge on it. So I like to do that anytime before I start cutting anything, prepping anything. So if you have one, or you don't have one, I'm sure your knives are sharp, but just make sure that if you don't have one, I would suggest going out and getting a steel, a hone. Mine's rounded, diamond steel. But if you don't have one, they have flat ones, but they're really great investment. I use shun knives, so they're a preferred chef knife.
And I think that
chefs.
last month you had talked about the knife company that you used, and I think that a lot of members actually use them. But since we have some new callers on, maybe you could talk about the knife company that you use.
So one of the knife places that we use here in town is a local place. Is Greenwood, is in Greenwood in Spiley Knives, and they have great knives. They also have great steels, is where I got this one. And you can get your knife sharpened. If you haven't had yours sharpened yet, it's highly suggested, because there's one thing that you'll cut yourself more with is a dull knife than a sharp knife. So there's a really great company. So first thing we're gonna do is actually cut our ginger. So most people have a thumb of ginger, which is more than enough, but I can suggest that you all use a spoon, chef trick, to peel your ginger. Because one, you're not gonna take a bunch of the flesh, you're just gonna get, or a bunch of the flesh when you do it.
I'm gonna kind of go in closer.
Yeah, of course. And then what you wanna do is just get the outside, just the skin. And then a spoon is really great because you can get inside all those nooks and crannies without taking too much. Oh, it's so fragrant. So you can just get right in there.
Like skinning a potato, but skinning a ginger with a spoon.
With spoon, yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
Laughing myself later on.
Yeah, it really is. It's especially I lucked out. I got a thumb of ginger that doesn't have a lot of nooks and crannies on it. But if you have one that has like some jagged edges, you just want to kind of get in there, and you can really do it with a spoon without losing too much. And like I said, we don't need all of this, but it'll be good for you to have. It's really great to put in some hot water with some lemon too, so you can use it for other things. I'm gonna put this over to the side, keep my board clean. And now that my ginger is cleaned.
Mr. Logue, I just missed this question.
Yeah.
Mike Logue, can you ask that question again? I'm sorry, we missed that.
Hi, Mr. Logue, sorry we missed your question.
He said I did not. Just went away. Go ahead, I'll see if it comes back up.
Okay. So now next, for what we're gonna do with our ginger is we're just gonna dice it. And when you use a knife, which most people that have joined the class I hope that are pretty great at our knife skills by now, but let's go over it again. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna really finely dice this. So we're gonna make some nice slices. And if your ginger isn't like this one, you just want to make some nice slices. I'm gonna put this off to the side because I don't need all that. And I'm gonna stack it up, or if you have any, then you just wanna just go through and just chop it really well. So I'm gonna go through and make some slices.
Carolyn, do you have any names of some knives that you use?
Yes, I do. So my first knife that I ever got growing up, I did culinary competitions in high school, and every time I would win a culinary competition, my aunt would get me a Wusthof. So that was my first knife set, was Wusthoфs. So I really love Wusthoфs. But then, going forward many years later, I started to get shuns. They're Japanese folded steel. They do hold an edge a lot longer, so I really like the Japanese folded steels now. But I still have my whole set of Wusthoфs from when I was younger. But so basically what I'm doing here with the ginger is I'm just going through and chopping it really small, like mincing it. And you can see I'm using my fingers here and I'm holding it, and my knife, I don't know if you can see this, but my knife is just going right on top of my fingers. Like my heel of my knife, or my side of my knife, is meeting my fingers. So my fingers are going back and my knife is just guiding along that. This comes with a lot of practice. One of my first chefs ever, if I wasn't chopping correctly, he'd come behind me and tell me. But now, since I have it in really small dice, I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna hold the heel back here, and then I'm gonna hold the top here, and I'm just gonna go through and just slice it even smaller. Really just. And this doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a mince. It's just gonna go into the rice. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not at a Michelin star restaurant, you're in your own kitchen, so it doesn't have to be perfect.
So slicing it smaller, does that have a specific texture or flavor that might change if slicing it from one way to the other? Or?
Well, basically, if you have a really big bite of ginger in your dish, that's all you're gonna taste. Ginger root is very, very strong. And I remember one of the first times I had ginger root, I think I was very young, and I had it and I thought it tasted like soap because I had a big bite of it. And so when you're dealing with ginger, you really want to make sure that you're chopping it very, very small, so you don't get that big bite and think like I don't like ginger root at all ever again. So that's really, really important for ginger. So you just want to keep dicing it really, really small and just keep going at it. And then once you have that all diced, I'm going to keep it in a little pile up in the corner, and then I'm going to continue with the rest of my knife skills here. So next I'm going to take my onion, and I have a smaller onion, but we're not going to need the whole onion. So I'm just going to nip off the edge there because it'll be easier to work with to peel it. I'm just going to take off that outside. And that first layer, you don't need. That. My trash bin. And then from here, I'm going to take this part. You see how I had a little bit of core right there? I'm going to work it from the other end. So I'm going to go in.
Let me get closer.
Yeah, get closer, Carol. I'm going to go in and I'm going to go sideways. See how sharp my knife is? Okay, and then I'm going to do another layer and then another layer. So I have 3 layers there. I'm going to turn it. Then I'm going to go down. And basically, like we've done with shallots, I'm going to make a grid.
I really hope everyone can see this.
Okay. And then from there, from this side, when I made the grid, I'm going to turn it. again, I'm going to go through using my fingers as the guide and just go through very nice. I want it very small, so that's why my strokes are really nice and close together. Just going to go down. You already made the grid. You already did the horizontal and vertical strokes.
So making the grid, again, another silly Carol question, but making the grid helps you get smaller pieces.
Yeah, so it's more even because an onion is full of layers. So it already has those layers in it. So when you go in and then you go the other way, you have it works out. Let me grab another piece of onion too. I have one in my fridge. The other half. My lemon. Okay. So I'll do another half to slow it down. So if everybody is a little behind. Okay. Okay, so again, I'm gonna hit that heel there. Not a lot, just a little bit, very little bit. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna peel it.
Kelly, when you're peeling that, we had a couple late comers, but they asked about the knives again. Where could they get the knives if that is something they wanted to purchase?
Well, something really easy is definitely online. Cutlery and More does some really great deals. It's cutleryandmore.com. That's where some of the first knives I ever bought. But then Wiley Knives in Greenwood, they have the best deals around if you want to go talk to somebody about the right kind of knife.
Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah,
Glenn.
But if you just want to go on shun.com or Bushdoff or Henkel or another great one, but so we're gonna go on here. I'm gonna do this again. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go. I have it in, four side out. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna go sideways.
You don't go all the way through.
No, you're right. I do not go all the way through. I just go except that one. I lied. My knife is very, very sharp. Very, very sharp. So now I'm gonna do my grid. I turned it. I'm gonna go the other way. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn it again. Then I'm gonna go in. And again, I do not need all of this onion. It is way more than enough, but it is okay. And I just threw away the core end because we don't need it. If I was in the restaurant, that would be all chopped up and, going into it, but we do not need it today. So
and we're not crying yet, so that's a bonus too.
I know.
Chopping all those onions.
These are refrigerated. So now we have our nice minced onion. And I'm gonna put these off to the side. We don't need this one, so I don't. I'm gonna move that because too much diced onion will make me cry. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is more onion. So I hope you like onion. We have our scallions here. So for our scallions, when you have them, you have the green and then the white. What we're gonna do is first we're gonna tip the tops and we're gonna cut them on a bias, really nice. A lot of these are gonna be used for a garnish for our dish, so we want to make them pretty. So we're gonna tip the tops here because I don't know if you noticed, a lot of the tops they're not as bright green as the other ones. So we're just gonna tip the top, put that off to the side. That would go in our stockpile.
So you're cutting this on an angle.
Yes.
Angle.
Yes, I am cutting this on a bias. If you don't feel comfortable cutting it on an angle or a bias, then you can cut it straight. It's perfectly fine. It's just for a garnish. And also we're gonna throw it into our rice. So I'm gonna cut this on an angle. So when I cut it on an angle, I have the knife on the angle. And then also I'm holding it, same thing as before. I have my knife, I have my fingers like this, and my knife right against my fingers. So I have my thumb chopped, really important, so you don't chop off your thumb. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I'm just going right down, and I'm using the knife as a motion like this, because that's what a chef knife is designed for, is to rock. So that's why I always really support chef knives more than Santoku's. So I'm just rocking that knife back and forth, guiding it with my fingers very, very thin. I'm pushing the ingredients forward with my fingers as I go forward. And if you're cutting, without your fingers and it's your first time, it's perfectly okay. It does take a little bit of getting used to, I'm not going to lie. Using your fingers and kind of inching them backwards, it's totally okay. So now we're at the white part of our scallion. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this white part of scallion because it's going to go in the sauce. So it doesn't need to be all by seam or on an angle. So we can just go through this. We have the white part right here. And we're just going to go through this very, let's chop it up.
And you're still chopping that kind of thin as well.
Yep, it's so thin. And these are definitely making me tear up. Oh, whew.
I'm glad I'm back here.
Yeah. So one is gone, you have the root end. So I'm going to leave that root end. Leave that off to the side. Yeah. Ooh, making me tear up. But I am going to keep them separate. That is for sure. I have my white part separate, which is really funny that the white part made me tear up more than the, the onion.
So I was just going to ask, because what would make that? Like, why is that white part?
Well, probably because I've had the onions refrigerated, and then if you refrigerate your onions before you cut them, it is much better because those enzymes are colder. So after you cut them, they won't really make you tear up as much. They're a little slower. So I have the white part and the green part, which I'm keeping separate. Really important because the white part is what we're going to use for the sauce. And then the green part is what we're going to use for the garnish and the rice. Okay. And then we are going to, before we zest that, we're going to take our broccoli and we're just going to look at it. Some people have some bigger florets. Some people have some little florets. It's kind of a combination of everything. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through and just look at your broccoli and trim it. If you need to cut it so it's all uniform, that's really the key, is that it's all uniform so it all cooks the same. So I have some bigger pieces here. So I'm just going to do a quick chop. It doesn't need to be perfect because we're just going to roast it. And they're all pretty floreted already. Like some of them are bigger. It's very easy, fast thing to do. Just cut it right in half. You need to have it smaller. That's it. So we're going to roast it. And so that all looks pretty even. I have it right there in my bowl. So very easy to go through. But I have the florets ready to go. That's the easy part. And then the last knife skill that we have to go over is the lime. So we're going to take the lime, and which I already washed and cleaned before I put in your box, is we're going to take the lime and we're just going to zest it. And the one big thing about the lime zest is you do not want to have the white part. The white part is the pit. So once you hit that white part, that's the bitter part. So you want to stay away from that. And I'm going to try to keep this all in a centralized location. I'm just going to go through, keep continuing to turn it. So I'm not looking for as much as the white. That's very bitter.
So doing this does what?
This is where all the essential oils that are in the lime comes out. And the zest is actually the most flavor of the lime or lemon or orange, anything. It's where all the oils are. So that's where you're going to get the most flavor from of any citrus fruit, is from the zest. So we're almost there. And if you have the little small part of the grater that you're using, you just want to be careful that you don't really get in that white part. And if you don't want to do this because you don't have a zester, it is more than okay. Just add a little oomph to your rice. But if you don't have it, you know, it's not going to make or break your dish.
You definitely smell.
Yeah, yeah, doesn't it smell? It's very fragrant. That's where all of the essential oils are from, of any citrus, all come from the zest. But we're going to keep this because we need that lime. We need that juice. So now I'm going to take this. I'm just going to make a nice pile over on the side because I like to stay organized. Keep it all together. Sorry, it's a little messy.
It's not bad.
No. Okay, so what we have here is we have our minced ginger. Like I said, more than enough. Then we have our onion, our scallion greens, our scallion whites, and we have our lime zest. So now we are ready. All of our knife skills are done, and we are ready to start cooking. Does anybody have any questions before I wash my hands?
I'm gonna change. I'm gonna move around.
Okay, because next. No questions?
No, I think that everybody's caught up. I think you're doing a good job.
Everybody's caught up. Perfect. Okay, thank you. So let me just rinse my hands real quick. Okay, so now that everybody has their knife skills done, what we are going to do is we are going to work on the cooking part. So our oven is hot. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start our rice, which takes the longest. So we're going to get our rice going. Okay, so I'm going to take some of my sesame oil. Just not even the whole thing. Just a little bit, maybe half. Okay? Half the sesame oil is in the pot. Then I'm going to take half my onion that I cut. Half of the amount of onion that I cut. I'm going to take maybe a tablespoon, this much, of the ginger. I'm going to put that in. Okay. And now I'm going to put that on the stove. For me, the smaller burner for my little pot. I'm going to start it out and we're just going to sweat that. So that is going to be, we're going to sweat that.
Sorry, everyone. Go ahead.
So we're going to sweat that for about maybe a minute or two once that burner gets hot, only because we want to really make it aromatic. We want to, I turned on the right burner. But we want to really get that, like that flavor out of the onion, the flavor out of the ginger before we add the rice, because it's really gonna add a depth of something different than just adding an onion or ginger to something. When you boil it, it's gonna add a complexity, more of a complexity to the dish. So that's what we're doing here. I have my wooden spoon, which I like wooden spoons every time I use for rice. That won't take too long.
On a gas stove, how high should I be if they have a gas stove?
Oh, gas stove, I like to stay around medium or high, and that's where I'm at right now. Is right in the middle of medium to high. Because you have roasted sesame oil that we put into it. So you don't want to be too hot because the oil is already roasted. So you don't want to be too hot. And then you're going to burn the oil before you cook the rice. And this is only to add more flavor. And you can see here, I'm just going to take it and just stir it a little bit. It's not hot.
Okay.
Okay, so while that is stirring away, I have my rice. And with my rice, I measured it out again. So if you have a half cup measuring, definitely measure it out again just to make sure. Mine's a little bit overflowing, so that's totally okay. I'm just gonna add a little bit extra water. So I don't know if everybody can see that. You can just smell it. It just takes a little bit. You're just adding the aromatic. And I'm sure everybody can smell it in their own home. How great that is.
Amazing.
So now what I'm going to do is
So we take it off the burner.
well, you don't have to. I did it first.
Okay.
But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the rice. And I'm just going to stir it up a little bit. I'm going to add the water. And I have a little bit over 3/4 a cup. So 3/4 a cup, a little bit over, only because I had a little bit over on the rice. I'm going to add that in. I'm going to add a nice pinch of salt. Season everything. And then next I'm just going to bring that to a boil. And then once it gets to a boil, then we'll go from there.
That stays uncovered.
No, we're going to cover it when
Okay.
it comes to a boil.
Okay.
So now I'm just going to turn it up a little bit till it comes to a boil. So I almost bring it up to all the way to hot.
So I have another question just because that's what I do. So rice. So when I make rice at home versus my husband making rice, he makes like the kind of like sticky rice almost, and my rice it's not as sticky as his. So how do you get from a sticky rice to a non-sticky rice?
Okay. So first thing
If that's even a thing.
No, first thing I'm going to say is every rice is different. So it doesn't matter what you're cooking. So if you're following along with this recipe, we have jasmine rice. But if you have like basmati rice or even brown rice, I just have to say every rice is different. So I'm sorry, I have to interrupt and then I'll continue to answer this question. But so right now you can see my rice is at a boil. So now it's fast. I got an electric stove. So now I'm going to turn it down to a low. I'm going to turn down to low. I'm going to put a lid on it. And I'm actually going to set the timer. Because rice is important. You have to timer.
How long?
I'm going to put it for 16 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not going to lie. Okay, perfect. I don't really set the timer. So I don't ever know if I do it correctly. So I have the timer set for that. And I have it on low again. It came to a boil. I have it on low, 16 minutes. We're going to go from there.
We wait for it to boil and then you put the lid on it. Yes.
Yep. We wait. I waited for it to boil, then I put the lid. That's why the lid is very important, that it's tight fitting. So you keep all of that steam in there. Okay, so back to the rice. Every rice is different. There is no real standard recipe for rice because if you even think about wild rice, you're out of the game. But on every package of rice, there is there's cooking instructions. So it'll tell you how much water to add. It will tell you how long to cook it. And for most places, that is tested. They know that it works. So my biggest suggestion to anybody making rice is read the instructions. And for us chefs, it's really hard to do.
Really hard.
It's very hard to do for me because I'm like, think I know that I can just put my, finger in it and go up to my thumbnail and it'd be fine. No, every rice is different because wild rice will take 3 times as long as any other rice with 4 times as much water. But I just have to say is follow the instructions on the bag. This one is a jasmine rice. So it is 1 to 1.5 of the water. So that one's kind of standard, but then you have basmati and it's all very different. So that's my biggest point of advice is always use the bag and use the instructions on the back.
Perfect.
Okay. So now that we have our rice going, we're just gonna work on our broccoli really fast.
Am I okay?
Oh. That's fine. You're fine right there. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have our broccoli here. And you have about 8 ounces of broccoli in your bowl. So one thing we're gonna do here is a nice tablespoon salt, of course. pepper, and some olive oil, or blended oil, or canola oil, or anything good for cooking.
How much of olive oil?
Nice,
Typically.
good, generous pour.
Okay.
Because you don't want it to burn, so you want everything coated. So, but you don't want it to be swimming. So maybe 2-3 tablespoons. And then I'm just gonna mix it up really well. That's why I like to do it in a bowl, so I can mix it up. I'm gonna finish it with like all the other ingredients like this and seeds and all the good stuff. So. I picked the sheets. So I have my stuff there. This is the easy part. Very easy recipe, and when you don't have me instructing you, it'll be very fast. You'll know after the first time. So I'm gonna go right in my oven. And then it will sit there for longer than the rice. But after you finish the rice, you need to have your rice sit and finish steaming and cooking. So next thing that we are going to work on is when I'm going to talk about the salmon for a bit before we go on to toasting the sesame seeds, which is very important.
We have a couple questions coming in.
Perfect.
Can they use sesame oil instead of?
I wouldn't suggest if you have an unroasted sesame oil, like the sesame oil that was in your kit, that is roasted. So if you put it in a 400 and some degree oven, it might get a little bit too toasty. I don't have that tried and tested, so I'm not really sure. But from cooking experience, I would suggest using like a blended oil or just a regular oil to do it. And then when we go and finish it, we'll add in that roasted sesame oil because it will just add a little bit more. It won't be double toasted, as I'm trying to say. Any other questions?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Take a sip of water or wine, whatever you have.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about the salmon for a bit, and then we're going to go on to toasting the sesame seeds. So in your kit, you had 2 pieces of Bay Fundy salmon, and they're about 5 to 6 ounces a piece, and they're really nice cut of salmon. They come from the Foley Fish Company, and I love the skin on, so we'll work on that a little bit later. So I really hope that everybody, if you don't like skin, you're gonna try it, or if not, we'll cook it and then we'll go from there.
Can you peel it if you wanted to peel it, or?
Of course, yeah. If you want to take the skin off, for me, for cooking purposes, for this recipe, I'm not. Okay. But if you don't like it, that is perfectly okay.
So because I'm a question guru, what is the difference between leaving it on and leaving it off?
It's a great barrier, which we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Can you tell us about the Bay of Fundy?
Yes, I can. So the Bay of Fundy is where we get the salmon. It's up in Nova Scotia area. And what they do is this salmon is, they harvest it, it's farm raised, but they do it all sustainably with real food that a salmon would actually eat. And Foley Fish actually has their own their own farm raising facility, and they do it all natural, as if the salmon was actually running. So that's why we really support that company, and it has the better fish, and they have the perfect water for it. So next, let me toast the sesame seeds. It's very important to toast your sesame seeds because of the fact it's like a nut. I'm just going to take my sesame seeds. I'm going to put them in my pan. This is very fast.
Again.
It's very fast.
What are you putting that on?
I'm putting it on a medium-high heat. because I don't want to burn it because I talk too much. So, so I'm putting it on medium high heat. And this is like when you roast nuts as opposed to when you don't roast nuts. The same thing. You're bringing out all those oils. The difference between a toasted sesame oil and a sesame oil, and you'll be able to smell it. It will start to smell fragrant, but you're just releasing those oils to make it taste better. So you can put raw sesame seeds on your dish as a garnish, or you can just gently toast them to make them taste better. And that's one thing that I hope people get from this class is those little steps that chefs take to make the food, just better than what you would get, like if you would normally make it, or you're all chefs now. So, but if you would get it downtown or anything like that, I just want everybody to know all the little secrets. So that's what we're doing.
So with that, they don't need any oils. They don't need anything. You just step right in.
Right in the pan.
Like that.
Right in the pan.
Do they turn any color to like let you know that besides burning, which I would do?
Yeah, that's why you want to keep continuing to stir it. And you can use a spoon. You can use a spoon to stir it. Or if you want to get risky and practice your saute skills here.
Make sure you back up.
Okay. Don't worry. This takes years of practice. You can just go and move them around. This is kind of fun. But they're starting to turn colors, as you can see.
And what color are they looking for?
They're just looking for a toasted, a little bit of there's a little bit of toasted, you'll see, but not too much though.
Like a number 2 on the toaster.
Perfect. That's a perfect. Yeah.
Maybe the Carolyn analogy.
Yeah. Maybe number 4.
Okay.
Number 4. Not a number 7. But yeah. So you're just looking for a little bit of color to your sesame seed. Brings out all that those oils in them. Like a nut. You don't just snack on raw cashews. You want the salted roasted cashews. Much better. And even though it's going to be garnished and we're going to finish our rice with it, it's still very important. If you're using a thing, a spatula, you can just continue to stir it.
So Carolyn, while you're doing that, do you want to talk about your weekly specials that you've been doing at the clubhouse?
Oh, this is special. Yeah. Well, one, I hope everybody's enjoying the weekly specials. I know we in the clubhouse have enjoyed making them, and I'm not gonna lie though, the reason I started the weekly specials is after reading the feedback from a lot of the members is you want to plan and you want to have like your weekly meal prep done, or whether you're gonna make the salmon next week or you're gonna order the scallop mousseline stuffed prawns. But I wanted everybody. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt myself.
Okay.
But you can see that nice brown color that's coming on it. That's almost perfect. Yes.
That's like a 1 or a 2 on a toaster.
I don't want to burn them. It's like the top of a sesame seed bun from McDonald's. But so yeah, that's there. That is there. I'm gonna actually turn that and I'm going to
that's
yeah.
More.
That little bowl from you. Yeah, so that is perfect right there. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so once you get to this stage right here, because you released all those you release all those oils, and you have a lot of flavor coming from them, you're gonna add even more flavor. Thank you. We're gonna add, we are just gonna put them in a small bowl. I'm gonna do this towards you. That would make more sense. Now you have, and now you know, and not only do you have you know how to toast sesame seeds. But we're gonna take it as a pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper. Don't mix it with your hands. We're professional. So just kind of mix it around. So now you have your garnish and you have your finish of your rice, and it just has much better flavor than just white sesame seeds. Alright. But to go back to your question, Carol, is I really hope everybody enjoys those weekly specials that we're doing. And if you do have any feedback on the weekly specials or something you want to see, I know I got emails about like a pizza, so we added that on the Sundays, or somebody wants more vegetarian, so now our pasta dish, one of our pasta dishes is vegetarian. So if you do have any feedback or your friends have feedback, please email me. It's ctorres@citrun.com. Or you can always email Carol. She'll forward them to me because everybody knows Carol's email. But please just let me know, because I am more than willing, and I'm listening. I want everybody to be happy, so just let me know. Okay, but let's get back to the salmon, and then Carol will tell you about all the fun things that she does with the weekly special.
Let's start on the salmon first.
Yeah. Well, let's start with salmon while salmon's cooking. Okay, so you have two options when it comes to salmon. Okay, one thing is us restaurant chefs, which you can do or you cannot do. But when you get fish in a restaurant.
Sorry, that was mine.
Yep. So when you get fish in a restaurant, most times they will take the skin and then they will just put a nice score. If you have a very sharp knife, it works out really well. So.
Wow, that makes so much sense.
Yes. A sharp knife.
No, a score in the back because.
So then it doesn't bubble up.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the skin.
My husband
And
needs to
I'm
be on this
gonna
call.
just do a quick score. My knife is very sharp, so make sure your knife is sharp. Okay, so I have 3 quick scores in the back of the skin. So now I'm gonna turn on my heat. It's the stove is already hot. Okay, the burner's already hot. Sorry, I got pepper in my nose. Okay. So right now I have my heat. My heat is on high, and I'm going to keep it on high because I'm going to sear the skin. And that pan is already hot, so you have
With
to remember
no
that.
oil again.
No, I'm going to put some oil in.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Jumping
But
ahead.
my pan is hot. I can feel it's hot. I'm going to put a nice thing of salt. I like salt. Some pepper.
And
A little bit of pepper.
you like butter.
Yeah.
Not for this right now though.
No, there's not a lot of butter in this one. So this is my olive oil. This is my canola oil blend. So for high heat searing, which I will just ask Paul to open my door. Okay. So that was my timer for my rice. I'm going to turn that off, which your timer probably went off as well. So turn it off. We're going to sear the salmon, and then we're going to turn off the rice. Okay? So you can tell my pan is hot. My oil is shimmering. Like I said, this is canola oil. Sorry if I'm going fast. There's a canola oil, olive oil blend. Put in there. It's getting very hot.
Can I ask why you would blend the canola and olive? Just because I don't know that.
Yep. Because it has a higher heat before it burns. So you can see that high heat. I'm going to turn this pan on high. Okay. And
Just
what
talk
I'm
louder.
going to do is I'm going to lay this away from me.
The skin down.
Skin down. I'm going to lay it away. Okay. Lay it away from me so it doesn't clatter up and hit me back. Okay. I'm going to press it down a bit. So that's on high. Get that going. So now I'm gonna turn it down to medium high because I already got that skin. It's searing. So now I'm gonna turn it down. So we're gonna cook this thing almost the whole time on one side. So it gets really nice and crispy on that one side of the salmon. And the thing that we're looking for is that side crispy, and then the flesh of the skin is not crispy. Okay, so I have that down, I turned it down. And at this point, I should be able to turn my rice off. Like I said, even the best chefs in the world sometimes mess up on rice. So I'm gonna turn that rice off and I'm gonna let it sit there. So again, we're gonna turn our rice off and I'm gonna let it sit there.
Still covered.
Still covered, don't take off the cover. That's the last thing that we're gonna do, is we're gonna fluff our rice. So it's gonna continue to steam, it's gonna continue to cook. My salmon is searing, and that's really important. So we're gonna cook this salmon about 5 minutes on one side, but don't touch it. Let it go. Because the protein will tell you when it's ready to move. It's like when you put something on a grill and you move it too fast, but there's a burger or a steak and a little bit of it is left on the grate. It's because it's not ready to move yet. It's not, that protein isn't cooked. So it's the same thing is going to happen in the pan. If I try to move this right now, the skin will stick. It will, I'll just move the top of it. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for it to release stuff. That's really important. I'm not going to move it.
I'm sure everyone can smell what I'm smelling because it's amazing.
It's going to release itself. What it's going to do.
And I think everyone's kind of on board because it's kind of quiet out there. There's no questions. It's like, they got it.
Awesome.
Cooking classes must be working.
Perfect. Perfect.
Carol's still struggling in the background.
And if you like your salmon more well done, you can keep it on more than what we're gonna do today. I personally like a salmon more medium, so we will put this sooner than later. It'll be about 5 minutes. But if you like your salmon more like on the well done side, or if you have a thinner piece of salmon, you do want to take it off before that.
And we're not touching the broccoli at all. We just let that broccoli cook. We don't need to mix it up. We don't need to do anything with that. And then another question was that their salmon was still a little bit pink. So that means maybe they have to turn up their heat a little bit at this point. If,
well, their salmon is still definitely red.
On the top.
Yeah, we didn't turn it over at all. And my stove is very, very hot. So I'm gonna turn it down. You'll be able to see right now. Crispy.
Just try to flip now.
Yep.
Typically, what is the normal temperature for a salmon?
Medium. Medium is, well, that's, I like my salmon medium.
That was a quick answer.
Yeah. Some people like it hard. So now I'm gonna let that sit there for about a minute or two. It's pretty much done. It cooks all the way from one side. Like I said, you don't let it too hot. Is there a need for an temperature? 130. That's a great question, Donna. 130. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take it off the heat. So I keep it medium. Again, if you like it more than that, you can keep it going. But my skin is crispy. My pan is super hot. Okay. I'm gonna take my foil here. You can just put it off to a plate. You put it off to a plate, or you can put it off to a pan, if you have a pan with a rack, that's perfectly fine. If you don't, that's okay. But for me, I'm gonna keep it right now at medium. So you can tell because the white part of it isn't coming out of the salmon.
And
little
yes, you
bit.
should have already flipped it by now. Flip your salmon, get it seared on that one side. Yes.
Yes, the salmon was flipped. Definitely. Take that off. Right, so we have the salmon, it's cooked. Just a little bit of the white is coming out because I'm keeping it medium. The skin, as you can see, is nice and crispy.
Should I go a little bit
Here.
closer?
Yep, the skin is crispy. I have the edges in it. Now I'm gonna work on the sauce.
And you can eat that skin, right?
Yeah,
I'm just
skin is
asking.
delicious.
Well, again, just learned
Yes,
something new
thank you,
tonight.
thank you. Okay, so from here I have a little bit of oil in here. Left over from searing the salmon. And I'm just gonna go here real fast. Sorry.
No, I'm
Um,
sorry.
And I'm gonna throw in the scallions that we cut earlier. I'm gonna throw in, sorry, I'm doing chef mode. I'm gonna throw in a pinch of the ginger, just a nice pinch of the ginger. Next.
Carolyn, can you just repeat what you just did? Sorry,
Yeah.
there was a couple people that.
No, it's okay. So what I did was I took the scallion whites of the scallions, and then a nice pinch of the ginger to put in the pan. So now, and I left the oil from the salmon in there. I took out a little bit. So I left the oil of the salmon in there, and then I just threw that in. So now I'm making the pan sauce. Thank you.
No, that was Bobby's. Shout out all the time.
Shout out. Hi, Bobby. Thank you. Okay, so now I got the white parts going. Okay, and I'm just gonna, like before with the rice, I'm cooking those until they're aromatic. And you can, I'm sure, all smell that, how delicious that is. In the kitchen.
You just heard me take a deep breath.
I know. I got my fish stock here. Gonna shake it up.
So it's okay if they just accidentally grab some green scallions, right?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So I put in my fish stock in there. Now what I'm gonna do is just kind of stir that around. The recipe says if you want to add water, you can, but the fish stock that I gave you, I don't think that you need to add water to. So you can just go right from there. And I don't know if anybody else can smell the broccoli, but it smells delicious. Oh, it's almost there. So almost there. Perfect.
And so again, don't touch the broccoli, don't flip it, don't do anything with it.
Well,
just
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off the broccoli. So everyone, let's turn off our ovens. Okay? Because the broccoli is perfect and it will carry over the rest of the way. By the time we're done our sauce, it'll be perfect. Okay, so again, we have our ginger in there, we have our scallions in there, we have our fish stock in there. And throw a little bit of salt, tiny bit, a pinch. And then I'm going to put in, if you want to, you can, you don't have to. Of course, gonna mount it with butter. Is there a sauce that I don't?
I was just laughing in the
I know
background.
we're doing Asian and I'm still putting butter in it, but it just adds that beautiful texture to a sauce. So I'm gonna let it reduce a little bit more, and then we're gonna finish the. No one actually, I lied. I forgot about. I know.
Ah, no one has even caught up with her, guys.
I know.
Wait, we're gonna chop her lime in half.
Drop the lemon half. Sorry,
We're moving in
nervous.
fast pace now,
Yes,
chef
I'm
mode.
finishing. Great, so then you don't have to use the lime squeezer. I did. I'm gonna squeeze a half a lime in there. Zest lime. I can't believe I forgot about it. It was part of the sauce. Sorry about the butter.
But it does show that even if you forget, you can still go back and put it in there.
Yeah.
And you only needed a half a wedge or
Yeah.
half a,
Only
sorry.
half lime. And I turned it up a little bit more to help reduce.
You can see my light in the back.
So that's gonna be our sauce. Gonna just help reduce a little bit more. And then we should be able to add the salmon right back into it, and then we'll be all set to go. Just be ready to finish the plate. What's for part is sauce and everything is cooked.
And so so the butter, if you wanted to add butter.
We didn't put it in yet. We're
Okay.
gonna let it reduce a little bit. So we have a good time. Oh, smells so good.
So half a lime may have given just a half a teaspoon. Should they use their other half a lime just if they didn't have the juicer?
Oh, they can use the other one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter how much lime goes in there, just like your flavor. It's for flavor.
Or you can save it, put as on the side, like a wedge. That's more than okay too. The bowl. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we have a nice boil going.
When the zest, we haven't gotten to the zest yet.
Nope, the zest
Okay.
is going in there.
Sorry, we're
So-
just
Nope, yeah. good
Keeping up.
question, Good question. So right now I'm gonna take this off the heat. We're gonna throw in 2 pads of butter. Because once you throw the butter in, or not butter in, depending, I'm just gonna put it over on the side.
you do anything with sugar?
So I'm gonna put a little bit of sugar in with the butter,
Sugar with the butter.
2 pinches.
And you take it off the heat and just let it.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't like to burn the sugar. Done. Put the salmon back in it. Alright.
You just let it sit there.
Yep, I'm gonna put that back in, let it sit. Take this out. Got a nice crusty cauliflower.
Broccoli.
I'm so used to cauliflower, roasted cauliflower. You're right. And what I'm gonna do now is with your broccoli. Have I said cauliflower all night?
No,
No.
this is
okay.
the first time.
It's been a long week. Yeah. So I'm gonna take our roasted broccoli.
Sorry, giggles in the background.
But
I'm just giggling. Sorry. I'm
I'm
sorry.
giggling.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna toss a little bit of the sesame oil on it. A pinch of our roasted sesame seeds. If you had the bowl, you can toss back in the bowl. That's okay. So we have that. That's finished, ready to go. And then last thing, what we're gonna do, everything's off. I'm going to fluff the rice. It's beautiful, nice rice. Last thing, what you want to do is take the lid off. We're gonna fluff it, and I'm gonna add a little bit more butter in here. Optional, of course. Gonna add a pat of butter. I'm gonna add the lime zest. You can wait there.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna add the lime zest. We're gonna add the scallions, the green. Scallion greens. Okay. Gonna add, of course, a pinch more salt. I'm gonna put a little bit more pepper. Gonna fluff it up. Stir it around really nice with a fork. Taste it.
Oh, did not burn your mouth.
Mm, that's good. Yum. You get a taste of the sesame oil that you cook, the ginger and the onion, and then you get a pop of the lemon zest. It is really perfect. And then of course you just melt it all with the butter if you use the butter, but melts really nicely. Oh, that's really nice. So the last step, so we have all of our components done. We have our salmon done, our sauce done. We have our crispy broccoli, so we should be ready to plate. So we're gonna move over here.
So you may have any questions though.
Anybody have any questions so far? Is everybody on the same page? Are we?
Oh, it's yummy. That's what I got.
We're all on the same page. Everybody's following along with me very well. Okay. So perfect. I'm gonna just take the rice. I'm gonna divide it into 2 plates. Okay. Next, I'm gonna take.
Amazing.
Okay. On the roasted broccoli. I like to have a little bit of tar on the broccoli. If you have it, you do. If you don't, it's fine. It just adds a little bit more complexity to the dish.
And your salmon is done cooking. Done cooking.
Oh, yeah. Salmon done cooking. Okay, so last thing, we're gonna take our salmon with our butter sauce. Or citrusy lime sauce. Okay, with our crispy skin. Again, if you don't like the skin and you want to take it off while you're cooking, it's very easy. It's actually probably a little bit easier to take it off when you're cooking. So next we're going to take the sauce. You can use a spoon or you can just drizzle it along the side. Okay, just drizzle it on there, a little bit of sauce. And of course, we need a garnish. The sesame seeds, make it look pretty, restaurant style. And then we have our greens. Put the greens on there. And give it a wipe. Gotta, take the fingerprints off. And there you go. Maybe. Let's look. Bon appetit. Yes.
Yes, please send your pictures.
Yes.
Thank you, Walt.
Then we have Donna and Paul here. They are our official taste testers.
Glenn, we are enjoying a Gruner as well. So
Thank you, everyone. I just have to say, we talked a little bit about our weekend specials or our weekday specials. We talked about our specials, but I just have to say, making those specials would not be possible if it wasn't for Carol, who promotes all of them, who sends out all those push notifications, or who emails you all of those menus. So I have to give a big shout out to her and also my kitchen staff that helps me really, showcase it and comes up with some of the items. So if you have anything and you want to see anything on there that we haven't had, like a special fish or sandwich or soup, just please let me know. We're here for you. We're here for the members. So just let us know. And I hope everybody's enjoying their meal. And here's Carol. She wants to talk about her new ordering app.
So our new ordering app, thanks Carolyn. I cannot wait to eat salmon because that's one of my favorite things. I'm usually behind the camera. Again, I'm sorry. I don't know what I look like right now. But I hope everyone has an opportunity to get on their Club Central app. I know that I'm always on mine. I do always check it out. I hope everyone can see. Do have a new ordering little tab down at the bottom, and it does let you order from all of the Clubhouse restaurant menus. Right now, it does show that we are currently closed because we are, but we do have everything on there from our starters to our salads to our pizzas to our cocktail menus to our non-alcoholic to our alcoholic beverages, bottles of wine, glasses of wine, and then just this past week, we did just start with our weekly specials and daily specials. So all of the Iron Chef menus, all of the pasta specials, all of the prefix menus, burgers and brews. We just started that this weekend. So if you have any questions on how to navigate or how to use that, please email me at cgriffin@trun.com. And we look forward to so many great things that we have coming up in the near future. So again, bon appetit, enjoy your salmon, and we look forward to the next Cooking with Carolyn, March 23rd.
Yes.
What are we cooking?
We're cooking kiwi enchiladas with chicken and black beans and Spanish rice and beans.
And we don't want to forget about next
Okay.
week, because next week is
Our chops.
chops. Are we done?
Okay. I think let's let everybody eat.
Enjoy.
Have a good time. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.